What's going on, everybody? It is the one and only Q here from Retro Q Gaming, and well, we are back with our 84th episode of our Quack Experimental Podcast. Now, I know lately I've been doing these kind of erratically, so I've kind of just been waiting for huge lump sums of info to come up and whatnot, but no, we're going to do it a little bit differently today. I want to just get a nice, smaller, bite-sized chill version out there as well. Coming to you live, by the way. As you can see, it's a nice brand new day here. Nice fresh, nice early day. So we shall get going. Anyway, first up, we have Monster Hunter Stories 2. Now, you might be wondering, Q, why are you talking about Monster Hunter Stories 2? First off, the first one, with the game style and the way it's done differently, I know it's a kind of a turn-based RPG in a way, but that doesn't automatically mean it's good to me, even though turn-based RPGs are pretty much my favorite genre and pretty much my favorite type of game. But anyway, we have a little bit of change, because change is always good. The times, they are a-changing. Ron Burgundy has never heard that song, so when he fell twice as hard. But anyway, we have Monster Hunter Stories 2. Now, it's been confirmed, as the leak originally said, that it is coming to PC. Now, in something that is slightly different from what we originally knew, is that it's now coming to PC day and date, the same as the Switch. So both of them, PC and Switch, Monster Hunter Stories 2, are releasing in July. So it is a multi-platform, non-exclusive game. Now, you might see a bunch of idiot fanboys out there with, oh, it's still a console exclusive. It's a fake made-up term, you stupid marks. It's clearly just... You're clearly just marks if that happens. But you have to be an idiot to actually go along with that. There's a reason why people like you are drones and idiots and all. But the butthurt has been amazing. I just will say that. The butthurt for all of this has been absolutely amazing. So just like Monster Hunter Rise, it is a non-exclusive multi-platform title. Even if it comes to PC later, it's coming in 2022, as opposed to Nintendo Switch, which is coming out, I think it's later this week, because Nintendo paid $6 million for them to not release it on PC at the same time. So, yeah, if you're interested in Monster Hunter Stories 2, I recommend everyone pick it up on PC over Switch, because why would you play any multi-platform game on the least capable platform? Anyway, July 9th for Monster Hunter Stories 2 on both, but it's a whole other story. Now, we'll move on. We'll talk a little bit about Timmy Tencent. Everyone's favorite, killing the business, Timmy Tencent. Now, in this case, we're going to talk about Mediatonic. Because Mediatonic, who you may or may not know, they have been bought out by China. I'm sorry. Let me correct that. Even though it is still correct that they have been bought out by China. I meant to say they've been bought out by Epic Games. So, Epic has acquired Tonic Media. And Tonic Media is the overall parent company of several different studios, most notably Mediatonic, which means Epic now owns all of their development studios, they're Tonic Media Studios, anyone in there, as well as all their IPs and products and whatnot too, meaning that Epic Games now owns Fall Guys. Imagine that. So they have two of the most popular, I guess you call them casual games around the world. You've got Fortnite, of course, and then you have now Fall Guys, the latest flash in the pan flavor of the month. We'll see how long that lasts. I mean, well, which came first, at least in popularity? Was it Among Us or... I know Among Us is actually like 2 or 3 years old, but it just flopped until fairly recently. But you get the idea. That's beside the point anyway. So what is important to note here is that straight away, Epic Games have already taken to putting out statements and comments and whatnot on how it won't change or affect the future of Fall Guys. But here's another problem. It's Timmy Tencent. It's Epic Games. It's China. We know how there's a bit of a problem and a bit of a, well, frankly, straight up lies when it comes to this kind of thing. Because they said the same thing for Rocket League. And, well, that went over famously, or rather infamously. So they've also said that Fall Guys will remain purchasable on Steam. Again, we'll see how long that lasts because, well, Timmy Tencent and Epic Games and whatnot. But They've also, I guess on a positive note, they have also come out and said that this will not interfere with plans for the upcoming Xbox and Switch versions of the game. Because as you all know, it's on PC and PS4. So it's still coming to the irrelevant platforms, if you will. But it is what it is. But it's really bad to see something like this, because naturally it's never good when I won't say studios, when developers, not developers, when publishers and large conglomerates and stuff buy up studios, especially if they're small independent studios, because, well, as we've seen in certain situations, they can take the ruin in them and whatnot and all too. And, well, this is another example of this, because, sure, you can have, let's say, Microsoft, who kind of famously run all their studios, they buy into the ground, but yeah, it's arguably even worse when Timmy Tencent does it with Epic Games, because they seem to be completely focused on just destroying the business. So, yeah, fuck them is what I say. But speaking of destroying the business, we're going to have to go on to something that can now no longer be repaired in the business. We're talking 3DS. Now, given how old the 3DS is, I can't even remember when the 3DS actually launched. I want to say 2010, 2011, maybe 2020. It was in around that kind of time. I don't remember the specifics. I always get that and the Vita mixed up, and as well as they were just in around the same kind of time and whatnot too. But Nintendo of Japan have recently announced, now you would have seen this maybe about 2 weeks ago, but they recently announced that the 3DS repairs would be stopping March 31st, 2021, which is still maybe 2 or 3 weeks from now. And of course, this is due to the lack of parts, considering that the 3DS is so old, they're manufactured in such small amount. Well, not even that the consoles are manufactured in small amounts anymore, but the actual parts are manufactured in small amounts. And clearly, it's not viable for Nintendo to finance 10 billion replacement parts or 10 million replacement parts when the company has more the company who produces this stuff has more lucrative offers to spend their time and money on production resources and all on. So what's happening is, naturally, this is all down to the lack of parts. Well, Nintendo have quickly updated that within the last week or so of when it was originally announced. So the original announcement was February 26th, and now it's effective immediately. So originally on February 26th, it was announced that come March 31st, 2021, all 3DS repairs in Japan would stop. Now it's effective immediately. Essentially, they're basically out of parts for 3 of their main models. So this applies to the 3 different models. It applies to the original 3DS. It comes with a bunch of model numbers and stuff too, like model number CTR001 with serial numbers beginning with blah, blah, blah. This is all Japanese related stuff, so it's not really important that I go in and detail the specifics of it, but it's just giving you an overview of the models and how it stands. So like I said, original Nintendo 3DS, also the original Nintendo 3DS XL, and the new Nintendo 3DS. So it seems that the new Nintendo 3DS XL might be okay going forward in Japan, at least for now, for the foreseeable future. Obviously, the 3DS, their naming system is so bad. The new 3DS XL obviously launched much later and was more expensive, so there's a good chance that not everyone picked one up. I personally have 3 of them, I want to say. I have my Monster Hunter one, which is the one I actually use. That's a new 3DS XL. I have the Pokemon Sun and Moon one. I'm pretty sure that's a new 3DS XL. And I have the Fire Emblem Fates one, which I'm pretty sure is the new 3DS XL. So I technically have 3 of them. And, well, I don't need to repair any of them. But it gives you the point. 2 of them I haven't even used. I just open to have a look at one time and collect them. But I do stupid stuff sometimes. It's what I do. It's what I do, you know. Anyway, back to the point here. So it's only a matter of time, having said all that, before this spills over to Europe and the US. Because this is I was going to say Japanese only, but this is Japan only. So it's only a matter of time before it moves over. And you have to wonder, granted the US has a much bigger population than Japan, and Europe has a much bigger population than Japan, because obviously Japan is just one country compared to 2 different continents. But with the huge popularity of the 3DS and handheld gaming in Japan, I'd have to go and double check the sales numbers per region. And I would not be surprised if the 3DS or the 3DS family in Japan was, I won't say on par with either of the other two regions, but if it was very, very close, it would not surprise me at all. For a small, well, relatively small individual single country compared to either of those two regions. So, yeah. So anyway, it's just a quick little reminder here as well that, of course, now that the 3DS is essentially hitting its very, very end of life because repairs are slowing down, repairs are being stopped for certain models in certain regions, it's only a matter of time. The writing is on the wall, as we've already known, and it just goes to show how popular the 3DS is over in Japan and even around the world as well. But like I said, Japan is the big focus on this one. But it's also funny and important to note that despite the initial flop of the 3DS due to Satoru Iwata and his terrible business practices regarding, well, so many different things, but especially the dev kit situation and all as well, and the price, it just goes to show that after a swift price cut, giving away free games and all, and eventually Nintendo actually reaching out to help and not hinder third-party developers to make games for them, the games started coming out. And the games started coming in quality and quantity. So it did recover. It had a great library of games that were properly made for the system, and it really showed and really highlighted. Unlike the Switch, which is just a piece of shit when it tries to run any type of game which is not clearly designed for it. Hell, it even struggles to run ones that are clearly designed for it. But you get the idea anyway. But moving on, we also have some big other important stuff to talk about. This one has been going on for several months and is now 100% finalized and 100% official. We're going to talk about Bethesda. Now, Bethesda, as you know, or as you may or may not know, towards the end of last year, the end of 2020, Microsoft entered into a contract or process or whatever it is to buy Bethesda for $7.5 billion. This acquisition, of course, takes time. One of this size and scale has to be scrutinized under many different things and approved. And it's now officially fully gone through. It has happened. It is official. It is 100%. Now, this all happened, of course, because the last final check that it had to pass was going through the EU-based assessment to see if it was legal and anti-monopoly and blah, 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 all of that stuff. And, of course, it's happened. It is official. And basically, the moment everyone has been waiting for has come. Microsoft has issued a statement on the possibility of exclusivity of future games. Because naturally, we all know Microsoft has no exclusives anymore. They launch day and date on PC, so they are multi-platform games. And not only that, but, well, in certain situations, they might even launch on Xbox One and Xbox Series consoles. So they're not even proper exclusives. It's like a game launching on PS3 and PS4. Persona 5 was not an exclusive game, people. Anyway, back to the point we have here. So Microsoft have put out this statement anyway, and it's basically a partial non-announcement / partial non-committal, as I pretty much completely expected. Microsoft have confirmed that some games will be exclusive, as they say, which isn't exclusive at all, basically. And their definition of this whole exclusive is that it will be exclusive to Xbox, PC, and wherever Game Pass is available. So basically, Project xCloud, possibly. I don't know if that ties in exactly with it. But basically, Xbox, PC, and Game Pass. So they're coming to Steam. That's the important one. They're coming to PC, which is where they will look best, play best, operate best, etc., etc., etc. Because they're not exclusive games. So it is still multi-platform non-exclusive, which is the most important one on there. Words don't mean anything to these companies anymore. If you believe all this kind of stuff and you defend it and all, you're an absolute mark and you're an idiot. But you get the idea. You're just a butthurt fanboy trying to be suited by whatever it is. So anyway, it's going to be interesting as well to see which games actually stay off PS5 properly. Now, we're not talking Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, which Microsoft are obviously honoring their existing contracts of timed exclusivity with those because they were inked with Bethesda before the whole thing went through. Before the whole thing was even announced, and before the whole thing even officially was confirmed and went through. So Microsoft are sticking with those as well. Although, I guess it's only timed exclusivity because they're still coming to PC on the same day, as far as I know. But hell, it is what it is. You know, words have no meaning. Words have no meaning. So if you believe any of this stuff, you're just an idiot, really. But the important one is that Microsoft have said wherever Game Pass is available. So they're potentially saying that in the future, if PS5 was to go allow Game Pass, maybe they're on there and only available through Game Pass. If the Switch was to do it, the games couldn't run on it, but you get the idea. They could potentially just only put them on Game Pass. Not sell the games, but only make them available through Game Pass. So you could buy them on PC, you could buy them on Xbox, or you could get them on Game Pass on PC or Xbox. Or you could only get them on Game Pass via PS5 and, well, only get them on PS5 and Switch via Game Pass, but you get the idea. So it's also important to say, or to note in this way, because we mentioned that it's going to be interesting to see which of ones actually stay off the PS5 and which ones stay off it permanently and which ones stay off it temporarily. Because you have to remember, given the end of this generation, when Microsoft and Xbox just as a whole has flopped and failed, and they're probably going to announce they're pulling out of the hardware market in 2025, maybe 2027, yeah, they'll be rushing third party to put a lot of stuff out there on all platforms. We know how it went for Sega. Sad times, sad times. Competition breeds innovation. And Sony really need it. Lazy, underhanded shitbags that just... One thing I'll say about this, right, is I've given Microsoft so much flack over so many different things, as they deserve. I've also done the same for Sony, as they deserve. But one thing that everyone gives, one of the things that just annoys me the most is everyone gives Sony the big pass on this. Practically every system, every mechanic, every whatever it is, on the PlayStation consoles, the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 5, is an absolute fucking embarrassment. But everyone forgives it because they have games. That's it. Everyone will overlook everything. They will overlook all the issues, the problems, the poor engineering, the poor systems, the poor mechanics, the poor accounts, the poor excuses, the poor inability to do things, the poor handling of everything. They will overlook all of that because they have games. And it's not even that they have games. It's because they have exclusive games, typically overrated exclusive games that get an extra maybe 3-point bonus in the score on a 10-point scale simply because they're exclusive games. And everyone overlooks all of this and doesn't demand better. Look at the Xbox One. What happened to the Xbox One when it was being fucking trounced by the PS4? Microsoft came out with tons of new innovations and tons of new stuff. Now, most of them didn't work, but the idea is they did it. What did Sony do over the entirety of the PS4 generation? They allowed you to change your PSN name. And even at that, you could lose access to digital content. You could lose access to DLC. You could lose access to games you bought just because their system is so poor. Look at the PlayStation 5. How many times have we heard of issues regarding stuff installing the PS4 version of the game instead of the PS5? Something selecting the PS5 version but booting the PS4 version? People not being able to upgrade for free when they're supposed to be able to? All these systems, Sony's inability to do all this, it's garbage. I never thought I'd be praising Microsoft when it comes to this stuff. But the whole smart delivery thing with completely understanding which version of the game is best for your console and doing it that way, that's worked flawlessly every time so far. I haven't seen a single report of anything like that. Meanwhile, PlayStation 5, when it comes to that stuff, is mess after mess after mess. PlayStation 5 with the whole external SSD expansion port being locked off. There's multiple different drives faster than the PlayStation 5, the SSDs. I have 2 of them in my computer that are 27% faster than the PlayStation 5 drive. And this isn't expected to be unlocked until summer for heating and heating concerns. It's a half-baked piece of shit generation we're going into. Or that we've already started into. But hey, it's consoles. What can I say? It's budget for a reason. It's budget for a reason. Anyway, we're going to talk one more little topic on here as well, because we are going to talk a little bit about loot boxes. And of course, loot boxes is everyone's favorite topic, so we are going to get right on into that one. Now, in relation to loot boxes here, it's been a while since we've been talking about these kind of things. They're always in the news for different stuff and all as well. But in a pro-consumer way, if you will, because let's face it, a lot of games will target loot boxes and microtransactions to younger players because they don't know any different and they're just going there. I mean, you could get a basketball game that is rated for everyone from 3 years of age and plus, and then that little kid goes and starts playing, and then bada bing, bada boom, that's it. That's what these companies do. They market all this kind of stuff. Now, Germany, on the other hand, is looking into a new, I guess you call it regulatory system, or a new classification system, that any game with loot boxes has to be marked as 18 plus. Now, this comes from several different ways, in the sense of some countries say that anything with loot boxes are gambling, say anything with loot boxes aren't gambling. It varies. It varies, but it is all covered under a broad range of topics and broad range of things, such as loot boxes, in-game boosts like XP boosts or maybe level boosts and stuff like that, and games that are designed and engineered, I guess, around encouraging spending on these types of transactions and whatnot. So this would either make developers completely redesign their game to avoid the 18s plus rating. Many companies just like to avoid an 18s rating anyway, even if the game content would be extremely similar. Maybe they just have to take out a few curses or a specific kill or a specific decapitation or a specific cutscene or something. Many companies choose to particularly specifically avoid the 18s rating. GTA says fuck you and just does whatever it wants. But many companies will do that because there's several different reasons anyway. But many of them will try to, or the question is, will many of them try to avoid the 18s rating to do so? So will this affect that? Will they have to design the game to not be a grind fest that would have encouraged you to buy microtransactions like they originally wanted? One of the Assassin's Creed games did that fairly recently. Not Valhalla. It's either Origins or Odyssey. I never remember which one is which. They're just two completely generic Assassin's Creed games. I haven't played anything since Brotherhood, so you get the idea. Or what will these game companies and publishers, will they just eat the 18s plus rating? For, like I said, many developers would not be the preferred option. Not just because you get the whole 18s plus thing, but also it limits the audience in theory. Now, in practice, if that actually takes effect, but let's look at it this way. If a game is 18s plus, anyone over the age of 18 can walk in and buy a copy. Anyone under the age of 18 cannot. And people, like parents or guardians or whatever, may not be willing to get their kid that 18s plus game. However, if the same game is, well, the exact same stuff, it just doesn't have the forced 18 plus rating. If it's 3 plus, anyone can walk in and buy it. 5-year-old could walk in and buy it. You get the idea. No things needed. So it would limit the audience in a way of the potential audience, which of course is what they see. But again, you've got other examples like Grand Theft Auto, and they just do whatever they want, and yeah, that's it. It's the whole image and risk versus reward. And let's face it, Grand Theft Auto and Rockstar know that when they put out GTA, the world stops. So it doesn't even matter. But we're going to have to wait and see, because this isn't officially done yet. It's not completed. It's just in the process of seeing if it can be done, and then how it's going to be refined and pushed through and whatnot too. So until then, we have one more little topic, of course, which is our favorite and best topic that we like to cover every single week or every single time we do one of these. Q, what's going on? What's up? What's going down? What's the 411? What is up? What are you doing? I've already said some of these. What is going on? What are you playing? Well, realistically, I've only properly played one new game for myself, not including stream stuff, of course, in the last time that we've done one of these, but between the last time we did one of these podcasts and now. And that one is Half-Life Alyx. I finally got around to playing Half-Life Alyx. My beautiful AMD 5900X, my RTX 3090, my Oculus Rift. Naturally, I played that game maxed out, locked 90 FPS. And Half-Life Alyx is fantastic. It really is. I made a separate video about my appreciation for VR, my reaffirmation of my appreciation. There we go, of VR, because of Half-Life Alyx. And I want to say it again one more time in here, that even though VR is probably not going to be the future, it really goes to show if companies will put the time and effort in to make a proper AAA top quality experience. Not only does it show, and it clearly, in the case of Half-Life Alyx, as it has demonstrated, has shown that people will go out and invest the money in the headsets and whatnot for this. Companies are always worried, oh, we don't want to spend, let's just put out a random number, $10 million making a high quality AAA experience for VR because not enough people have VR headsets. And not enough people are buying VR headsets because companies are not putting out the quality in the product and all for it. Half-Life Alyx has clearly changed that. When Half-Life Alyx was announced, so many headsets sold out all around the world for weeks and months. Half-Life Alyx launched, same thing. So many weeks, months, sold out. All different types. And Half-Life Alyx is easily the best VR game I've ever played. Granted, there's not a massive selection in there, and even when it does come to some of the other stuff, I've never really played any of the full, big, proper games, like, say, Skyrim VR or Fallout 4 VR. I never bothered with full ones like that. It was always stuff like Robo Recall, Super Lucky's Tale, Super Hot VR, stuff like that. But Half-Life Alyx really shows that a full, proper, quality top-tier AAA experience can be developed for VR, and it pays off, and it is easily the best VR game I've ever played. It will likely be the best VR game I've ever played until, I don't know, Half-Life Alyx 2 comes out. By the way, slight spoiler alert, I'm going to drag this out for about 5 more seconds or so you have plenty of time to mute the video and whatnot in case you haven't finished Half-Life Alyx and you do get around to playing it. They have hinted at either a sequel to Half-Life Alyx, or Half-Life 2 Episode 3, or even potentially Half-Life 3. They teased it in the ending, the Half-Life Alyx. So that, boyos, is a very, very important one. Overall, I'm just going to say, with the quality of everything in it, in Half-Life Alyx, the quality of the intricacies, the controls, the mechanics, just everything about it in general is so high quality. I recommend everyone with a VR headset play it, unless you've got a console, because, well, then you can't, rightfully so. It's like a 9 out of 10. It's that good. It's that good. It's so good. I used it on my regular Oculus Rift. Of course, there's better headsets out there now. You get a Valve Index. I believe the Oculus Quest 2, I think, is even better than the other one. But I don't really keep up with too many of the new ones now because, well, I shouldn't say that. I don't keep up with many of the new Oculus ones now because of the whole changes that are going to be coming down the line over that. I have an existing Oculus account, so I can still use mine until I think it's next year, before I can't get any more updates. I can still use it on like Steam VR and all that, but I just can't do any of the new updates. I can't use the Oculus Store, which kind of suits me fine as long as it works on Steam VR, and that's really it. That's the only important thing. But anyway, that's beside the point. Half-Life Alyx, highly recommend it. If you have a decent PC and a VR headset, absolutely play it. It will easily blow you away as the best VR game out there. Like I said, VR is probably not the future, but it clearly goes to show that with the time, effort, investment, and quality and whatnot, the refinements as everything goes, both in the hardware and the investment from the game side of it as well, as they both go forward, it really shows and it really highlights anyway. But that is it for our 84th episode of our Quack Experimental Podcast. I hope everyone has a good day. In the meantime, let me know in the comment section below. Slide on down into there. Let me know comments, questions, butthurt, salt, praise, progress, whatever it is. Oh, and of course, be sure to slide on into the description box down below. Hit the Twitch link. We have daily retro streams Monday to Friday, 8 p.m. GMT, where we just beast mode every type of retro game, and it's so good. Make sure you're a part of that. We're getting there, and it's a damn good time. Anyway, in the meantime, of course, I will see everyone next time we do one of these, whenever, wherever it is. But make sure you hit the appropriate button to let me know how I did on the video, and while you're at it, why not head on over and hit the subscribe button and even ring the little notification bell, so you can be one of those people that gets those notifications. Well, YouTube permitting, of course, we know how that one is. But in the meantime, remember, winners. Oh, I don't have it with me this time. I forgot about it. Winners don't play switchboards.